Good afternoon, everybody. So following Frauke with, as she said, an uncertain market, what do I got to say about the UK local market? So just to recap from a couple of years ago, so there was a 2023 set of figures that I gave you, which was even more depressing than this. So this was 2 years ago. With 2023, minus 6.3 in the whole market, and I think it was minus 10% for 2022. So collectively, minus 16, 17% cumulatively. I can whoop and a holler about the next slide I'm going to show you, which is growth. That's the spirit. Come on, let's have a bit more of that. However, it doesn't quite compensate for the minus 16, 17 that's happening. But I was encouraged by this for two reasons. One, that is a positive, and that actually is an even more positive. So there was growth last year, and having had 2 years of a nosedive, then that's encouraging. The nosedive of the last couple of years, the big driver in the UK has been e-commerce packaging, and e-commerce packaging took a large hit, so that was a significant contributor. But overall, the COVID years had seen huge increases, and of course there was a levelling out. So I would say COVID, huge jump. The 2022 figure of minus 10% was probably the levelling out, but then it's gone further still. So we're in a minus position in comparison, but we're starting to claw a bit back. What I wanted to say then is, so what do I see happening? What are the prospects for 2025? Volume slowly on the rise. I know the announcements of tariffs over the weekend by Donald Trump, I think is showing, it's throwing repercussions around the world. Do I think that might benefit us? I wrote something in Packaging Europe about actually a degree of positivity, even against that backdrop. And I still believe that there is likely to be a continued slow rise in the UK for volumes. Frauke has talked about the ups and downs of buying prices, but I think there's probably lots of reasons to defend our prices in the industry, not least because of what's happened in the budget, where a further cost is being laden upon us and everybody else in industry. So I do think that value is likely to have levelled out overall. What are the implications of the October budget? I think, as Frauke said, it's very interesting, isn't it, that somebody who looks at the UK market, but looks at the UK market from abroad, sees nothing but a depressed outlook. Everybody thinks that the budget was a poor budget and has given no reason for positivity. I think from my own point of view is then we have to grab a hold of it ourselves, because otherwise we're just not being helped and supported. And I do think the industry has got some fantastic news. That news about the Shotton Mill, I think, is amazing. We've competed with Italy and Poland for that investment, and we've brought it in, and this country has encouraged it. So I think that has to be a positive sign, despite all that we see happening with the budget. Longer term, corrugated appears to be on the rise. I've talked quite a bit about plastic substitution in the last couple of years. I've done that because otherwise minus 17% is a pretty depressing scene. So plastic substitution, are there opportunities for us in this industry to be able to replace plastic? There are, but again, as always, somebody's in the way and has been causing some slight hiccups. Those that know about DEFRA and what DEFRA did in December about EPR fees, that's thrown a huge spanner in the works. It's certainly thrown a huge degree of flux into the marketplace. Some people will know. Read up the details if you haven't about EPR fees, but basically it's saying if there is a packaging item made out of paper, if it's got an extra bit of plastic at over 5%, then there's a high fee for that. And that high fee per tonne that they'll be charging will be very similar to a high fee that plastic is according. So there isn't an advantage in moving to paper packaging according to DEFRA and their fees. So that's caused, amongst other people, Sainsbury's to say we're having a moratorium at the moment on what we're going to do about moving to paper packaging until we understand this. That's not good, and other retailers are saying the same. So at the moment, there is an uncertainty that DEFRA has put into the marketplace, but hopefully the lobbying that's going on by everybody in our industry will help to put DEFRA into a more sensible position. WRAP also have some plastics recycling targets that they've nailed their colours to the mast for a number of years. And they've said plastics must increase the amount of recycled plastic that's available in the marketplace. We've had some reports saying that actually WRAP have now decided that they're not going to continue to push that because they can't get the plastics industry to recycle enough plastics. Interesting, isn't it? PPWR, I think, is fantastic. We've actually benefited as a result of some strong lobbying that's happened. PPWR seems to have favoured paper packaging, but countering that, there is the plastics industry. And I was very lucky to spend a week going skiing, and one of the people I went skiing with works in the plastics industry, and he was two things that struck me. One, they're in a parlous state in the plastics industry in Europe, and they're restructuring because they're not getting the volumes. And the second thing is, he was saying how bad we are as an industry, in the paper industry, how unenvironmentally friendly we are because of the amount of energy and water that we use. And I thought it was really interesting listening to somebody from the petrochemical industry telling us that we're bad. So we've got a fight on our hands. My last bit, I continue to do that. We have opportunities. May I just have a canter through here? So just for those people to know, this is the tonnage of plastic sold in Europe. That's the total. I've talked about this before, but that's the total for film. There's opportunities in being able to replace films, and it's a big problem. Can't be recycled, real struggle with that, and there's lots of opportunities. Let's just highlight what those might be. This is a great market, ambient produce. The opportunities in folding cartons is significant, and folding cartons have been taking volume. We could take volume in corrugated in this market. It's high value items, but also here, very important, and the UK is wanting to have paper solutions in this area. The other area, and I said about plastics, film, this is a market that's jumped away. And isn't it great? There's two brand owner companies that we in the packaging industry are supplying, and that I give you that. Just think about who we supply. That's a little hint as to something that's going to happen later on. But these brand owners, real big brand owners who are wanting our product. The third area is chilled and ambient foods, and there's a golden opportunity that's developing in here. These are actual packaging specifications that are being supplied in the UK. They are folding carton, but there are corrugated opportunities, and this is a trade name that some people will know about. So there's corrugated alternatives to this. Another aside, one of my team was abroad in Belgium, took a photograph of a supermarket, didn't see any of these. We're leading in the UK in the plastic substitution drive. These are packs that are both in the UK. There's some that are in mainland Europe, but significant in the UK. We're leading here. Much more to home. This is some statistics that from a couple of years ago we presented to another audience. But there's significant opportunity for fitments and EPS replacement in the industrial market in the UK, significantly more. So we should, with that clever AI designs that we've got, we should be able to grab a hold of more of these opportunities. And e-commerce, I said that e-commerce took a nosedive, but actually e-commerce has got a number of things that are causing change in that market. Fanfold is satisfying a requirement for tailored sized boxes, void fill and boxes that need headroom. This headroom directive are giving opportunities of changing the outer packaging and putting good fitments inside. And then EPS replacement on chilled foods, and Gusto and HelloFresh amongst others are good examples of where new designs are helping to drive extra volumes in e-commerce. And then the last bit here, I haven't seen such change in our industry for some while. Tim was saying about the number of sheep plants. We know how many the number of sheep plants are now, which is one thing. But the number of changes that are occurring, new names. So who's heard of Notpla in the room? Show of hands, Notpla. That's really interesting. A handful. Okay, watch out for Notpla. Wimbledon have said they wish to have only packaging made out of Notpla. So not plastic. So it's a seaweed-based material. And Notpla is coming for us. There's a coating material that we could be sourcing in the corrugated industry. Anybody heard of Zampla? Okay, bit more. So Zampla and Notpla, they're both small, innovative companies with capital sort of values of maybe 10 millions or something like that, but huge sponsorship behind them. And Pulp Pack is another organisation. Again, anybody heard of Pulp Pack? Okay, more hands. So these are new names, and they will hit our industry. They're already starting to do that. New technologies, and they are linked. Those coatings and those names. There's going to be new technologies, and coatings is the place for our industry to be able to understand. New products, bottles made out of paper. They're being sold. They're being sold. And then there's new owners. Well, interesting, it wasn't mentioned, but I understand that Onboard and Erin are now linked. We've got Schumacher, most recently bought by Mondi. Mondi are back in the UK after many years, and then with Palm, John Hargreaves. So there is an awful lot of amazing things happening, and investment in this country. Very exciting, I think. But it's going to be in our hands. I don't think we're going to be helped by any government organisations. So look out for this. There we go. That's it. Thank you.